welcome to Nashville. This is the PHNX Coyotes Podcast presented by the one and only Four Peaks. And there are no Four Peaks here. At least I haven't found them yet, but I've only been here a couple hours, so maybe they are. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Petey, along with Craig S. Morgan.
What's up,
and
y'all?
without at Leah Merrill.
Yeah.
Where is that Leah Merrill?
Headed to the red carpet with Mac and Megan.
So how come she's going to the red carpet and we got to sit in here? And she gets to see all of the...
Probably because we look like we do and they look like they do.
That's a very
they were
good point.
well-dressed and we are...
They are very dressed up. They're red carpet worthy.
Yeah, look at us.
And we are not, clearly. But we've made it. The
We
good
did
news is that
make
we
it.
were sorry, apologize for a little late on our show, but things sometimes work out that way, and I appreciate everybody with their patience today. But overall, Craig, especially because we traveled with you, and we know how difficult your travel days can
Seriously.
be, things have gone fairly smooth today.
I think the key was taking literally the first flight out of Phoenix this morning.
Yeah, that was
The
good.
plane was already there. We actually got to Nashville early today, 20 minutes early today. No Craig Morgan issues on the travel out. Now,
But you kept trying to jinx it, though. You kept you're
We'll
like,
see what happens on the way back, just saying.
and
But we got here.
Where did we take off from in Phoenix? I know people that live in Phoenix will care. The new terminal, the new D terminal.
Like, I was
Brand
trying-
new.
Give me a hint here, buddy.
Literally,
What are we
it's
talking
brand
about?
new.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We flew out of Terminal 4, Southwest.
D.
Some of the
Brand
restaurants are not there yet, but
No.
when it gets done, that's going to be a really nice terminal. And I know that's why you guys are all here to hear us talk about the renovations to Sky Harbor International.
So
Airport.
now you've landed in Nashville. You made it on time.
Yep.
What are your first impressions of being in Tennessee so far today?
It's humid.
Yeah, can we like having Arizona's come in and talk about the heat is kind of odd, but it's hot. Like I've been sweating since I got here. I don't sweat in Arizona. It was 106 when we left. I don't know what it is here. 75, 80.
Yeah,
But it's
it's
hot,
supposed to be
man.
up to 90 today.
Buddy,
but-
it's hot.
Yeah,
This humidity stinks.
yeah, even in the restaurant where we ate,
Yeah,
which
so-
was a good restaurant, by the way.
By the way, I want to show everybody a picture of all of the PHNX crew. There's 5 of us so far. I know Shane. I don't know if after you travel all day and you're super hungry, like you literally don't care. Like
Yeah.
don't care. I just want to eat, and then to go. Well, it's a 40-minute wait. Well, guess what? We'll try this another time. But I'm glad we waited because
And it wasn't 40 minutes.
Yeah, no, but
It
it
was
was,
like half that.
it was outstanding. So
It was.
She came in really good there. And one other travel highlight that I did film today, because if people saw on Twitter, and I'm sure they were following our travel day all along, Craig, because that's what people do, I took the middle seat. Because as people know, when you board onto Southwest, at some point, somebody's got to be in the middle. And so I decided it would be me. I do appreciate Craig and Leah giving me the armrest. So we got that solved. But I want to show you how bougie, I wish we had the bougie Craig picture, but it's coming. The bougie Craig picture.
It is.
But we also have, so bougie Leah, everybody's got to prepare. Like I sit down, I put my thing down, I put my headphones in, I'm done. That's it. Prepared. Ready for a flight.
Mhm.
Here's Leah Merrill preparing for her flight as she gets ready. And most people buy the headrest thing, like the Can you not do that before you get on the plane?
Annoying, awkward, a lot of
But
things
can you do
come
it
to
before
mind.
you get on the plane?
Yeah, well, there's that. That would have been a good idea. But like in fairness to Leah, it was really early, and she had
It's fair.
she had an interesting Uber ride this morning as well. So
Oh, yeah, the guy with the feet.
yeah, careful what you say. The guy with the feet, the guy that was watching like massage videos at like 3 a.m. I had my own. My cat wakes me up every day at about 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Today I got to wake my cat up, so it was a good feeling.
So that's a
She's
good
like,
thing.
Looked at me like, "What's going on here?"
Before I move on from our travel day, there's one more bone I need to pick.
Okay.
And that's with your travel style.
Okay.
So, you know how we've gone through and we've talked a lot about how we want people to, but don't wear flip-flops because I don't want to look at your feet. Or if you do, leave your shoes on. Don't put your hair over the back. You know, all of those things we've talked about. How long did we wait today in the terminal? If you had to guess, hour and a half? Were we in the terminal?
Were we there that long?
Yeah, more than
feel
an
like-
hour. Okay, so maybe
Maybe about
let's say
an
an
hour by
hour.
the time we got through.
Okay,
Yeah.
and did you and I take a lap around?
We did.
So during all that time, did you see a restroom?
Did I see
But the
a
answer
restroom?
was yes.
Yeah, I saw a
you
restroom.
did.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you use it?
Are you complaining about the fact that I went to the restroom as soon as I got on the plane?
The literal second we get on the plane, like we're in row 20, whatever. We drop our bags and Craig goes, I'm going to go to the bathroom. You don't go to the bathroom when everybody's boarding. You're going upriver and downstream. And like we were in the terminal for an hour and a half. Go to the bathroom.
Petey, when nature calls,
Yeah,
that's
but
when
buddy,
you respond.
it's a huge, nice, brand new
You
bathroom
don't know when
in
nature's
Terminal
going to
D.
call, Petey.
And then you go in the little cubby hole where somebody peed on the floor in front of you, and now you got to bring that back to our
That's the
seat.
advantage of getting there first.
Bullshit.
Still clean at that point.
Okay, I would bet it was dirty. And if we're betting, where else can you bet? You can bet at MGM. Do you know you can bet at MGM?
Wow, that's one hell of a segue. We got from.
But you know what? Starting Friday, June 23rd, BetMGM players can receive a bonus bet upon logging into BetMGM Sportsbook every Friday for the next 3 weeks. Claim period extends through Saturday and Sunday. You get 72 hours to log in to claim, and then 72 hours to use the bonus bet. So log in at any point during the weekend and claim your bonus bet. If you haven't signed up for the BetMGM yet, use code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, place your first bet and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets. If it loses with BetMGM, again, make sure you use the bonus bet code. That didn't make sense, did it? I didn't say that right. See, that's why Leah, we really need Leah here. But for our Arizona, place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses on BetMGM. See there, I did it right that time.
You're right.
Make sure you use bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details. And now, listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
And as soon as the show is over, DP and I are headed to Circle K because we need to stock up the Airbnb. We have no water, no snacks, no things to get us through over the next 48 hours. We talked about the snacks already. So we're getting the salt and pepper chips, the orange slices, and we're going to grab a couple Polar Pops, and they won't sweat because even with the humidity, they're phenomenal. Make sure you're not missing out on all the great stuff at Circle K. Right now, text PHNX to 31310 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. Head to circlecK.com/store-locator, which we literally did today. Sean and I did that, half hour ago?
Yeah, can confirm. I just pulled it up. We got I see a bunch of them in the Nashville area. We got Circle K's all over the place.
Yeah, so we're all set, and we're going to go stock up the Airbnb. Well, we might not stock up the Airbnb. We might just stock up our room because that's how we bunk beds here for the next 3 days. Boy, howdy. Go to circlek.com/store-locator to find the Circle K's near you and get yourself a Polar Pop. And I don't have to watch Leah Merrill at the gas pumps for the next several days. No PHNX people.
Or Derek Montilla.
So we get free of that. Let's talk hockey finally. And we're in Nashville for the draft to see if the Coyotes can start moving forward in their rebuild process. But over the last 48 hours, they've started to make steps going forward.
Yeah.
And the first thing they did is they made a trade for a defenseman. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sean Durzi trade?
Yeah, they traded a 2024 second-round pick, the one they got from Montreal in the Christian Dvorak deal, to get a guy that they still feel has a lot of upside. He's 24 years old, so he can grow with this group. That's the feeling at this point. Offensive defenseman, really, really fluid puck mover, can help them on the power play. I think he was second in power play minutes on the Kings blue line behind Drew Doughty. So a guy that they feel still has a lot of upside. Now, some of the critics will talk about some of the mistakes he makes in his own end, decision-making, maybe defending a little better. He's a defenseman. Petey, defensemen often develop on a slower curve because it's a very difficult position, and you're playing a different style down in junior than maybe you were 20 years ago. They feel like there's still upside. Bill Armstrong mentioned to me that he kills penalties too, so they feel like this is a guy with top four upside that can log 20-plus minutes for them.
Well, there's a couple things for me on this one. And most importantly, you looked at you have your two offensive defensemen from a year ago. We talked about Jacob Chikrin and Shane Gostisbehere no longer being part of this team.
Yeah.
So you need to find somebody that can help on the back end, specifically on the power play.
Yeah.
And I think Durzi can do that. And I think he can do it long term, because at 24, I think that's the biggest upside for me, is not only can he replace some of those offensive defenseman points that they got from those two players, but he's a guy that's 24. And you look at the moves that Bill Armstrong made 1 year ago today. He wasn't picking up 24-year-old defensemen. He was picking up bad contracts. He was picking up guys that could help with the salary cap, or could bring a return with a player and a draft pick down the road. He didn't look at a guy that can help this team for the future necessarily. And I think with Durzi, he does.
Yeah.
He helps. This is what the key is, and the cue for the fan base is this is the beginning of the end of the rebuild. This is, we're getting through it.
That's what I wrote about. And it's really what Bill has been emphasizing, really, to national media as well. More recently, he's been talking about it with us for about a month now. When he was on the show, he talked about wanting to take a step forward. And it's not just through the draft. They have a ton of draft capital, so much so that you really can't execute all those picks. You're not going to, all those guys aren't going to sign. So the idea now at this stage of the rebuild, now that they've accumulated a few drafts worth of assets or prospects, is you can use some of that capital to acquire players maybe that are still going to be value guys. Like Durzi's contract is very, very easy to absorb. Even the salary is $2 million this next year. The cap hit's even lower. But a guy who's at the right age too to grow with this core. Those are the types of guys that they're going to be targeting to try and add to this group. And, you know, he still emphasized we want guys that are going to fill in around and are able to grow this group, but we still want to leave a place for our best players so that they can play in the key situations. So that's the philosophy right now. And I don't want to discount another factor in all of this. We had Clayton Keller's agent on our show a while back. When the Tempe vote failed, it hit that core hard. We know those guys were literally out stumping for the arena, and then it failed. The vote failed. That hit a lot of those guys hard, and they're wondering about the future. Am I going to be stuck in this kind of limbo forever? I don't want to say that's the only reason Bill is doing this, because I think the timing was right anyway with where they are in the rebuild. But don't discount the impact of the core and needing to appease them a little bit with some of these moves. That's part of the reason why I think we're seeing this.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is you look at some of the players he picked up a year ago, Craig, and I think this, again, points to what you said about the direction they're going, is you looked at players like a Nick Bjugstad, and you knew they picked up Bjugstad and Richie not only to help them for the short term, meaning the first 40 games of the season, but they look for draft capital coming back at the trade deadline. When you look at a move like Sean Durzi, I don't think that Sean Durzi is a guy that they're looking to flip come the trade deadline. I think he's a guy that they want to have there when they get through the tunnel and they make it through the rebuild. So that's why I think this is such a key move for the fan base to recognize, okay, they're doing something. Now, does this mean I think they're making a big playoff push this season?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, again, when you look at the blue line right now, do you see a top pairing? I mean, when you talk about J.J. Moser, Yusuf Alamaki, and now Sean Durzi, these are probably guys that you all see in that 3 to 5 range, right? So they still don't have those top pair guys. And I'm sure they hope that they draft them at some point or one of those prospects really pans out. We'll have to wait and see on that. And then you look at middle ice, too. They don't have the middle ice really to be a playoff team at this point, but you want to see progress. And I'm sure the talk in that dressing room with Andre Tourigny and this core that they have is, yeah, let's make a push for the playoffs. It's admirable. Of course, you want that goal. I just don't see it with the makeup of this roster, but it does feel like this team could take a step forward, be a little bit better than they were last season.
Yeah, and I talked about it a few weeks ago, and I wanted to first apologize to Bill Armstrong, because I said that this team was going to take a step backwards. I think they were going to do worse in the standings. I put them at low 60s. I should have put a caveat to that. Let's wait and see what they do over the next 3 months, because the moves that they made, and we'll talk about another one here in a minute, these moves make that landscape potentially a little different. Again, I don't see them when you talk about the team making the playoffs, and I look at in our group chat or in our Discord with our members, I see, oh, this is the playoff team now. One of the things, if you're outside the playoffs looking in, somebody on the inside has to get pushed out. So you have to look at one of the 8 teams that made the playoffs and go, okay, who are we going to be able to supplant and push out of that 8 playoff spots? And that's where it starts to get a little tricky. So I don't want to put that kind of pressure on this team yet. But I think these moves, the first move with Durzi and the next move, I think are going in that direction. And I'm going to tee us up to the next move then is they signed goaltender Connor Ingram.
Yep.
And we talked about the RFA, Connor Ingram, and what were they going to do? Were they going to trade his rights? What were they going to do with him? Because Prosvetov has to clear waivers, but they end up signing Connor Ingram.
Yeah, a few things to parse here. First off, with Prosvetov, we saw when he came up initially with the NHL club, he played really well, but then he trailed off. And when he went back to Tucson, to be honest, for the playoffs, wasn't very good. He wasn't very good. It looks like he still needs development time. So that fear about, oh my God, he could get claimed on waivers if we have to pass him through waivers at the end of training camp, it's not really a fear, because the way waivers work, if you claim him, he's got to be on your NHL roster.
Yeah.
You can't drop him to the AHL. I don't think there's a team out there right now that says, oh yeah, Ivan Prosvetov's our backup goaltender. He's not ready for that. So I don't know how afraid they are of this. But the other thing to think about, Connor Ingram got a 3-year deal at a pretty good AAV of 1.95. I think it escalates like $200,000 each year, starts at 1.75 and gets up to 2.15. But anyway, it's a 3-year deal. That's important when you look in the context of Karel Vejmelka as well, who is signed for 2 more years. You're going to have a contract negotiation at some point. Vejmelka, his agent, his camp is going to want, if he keeps playing at this level, they're going to want maybe a longer-term deal. If you run into any kind of roadblocks with that contract negotiation, now you have insurance. Connor Ingram signed for 3 years. You can walk away from Karel Vejmelka if you have to, or trade him if you have to.
Yeah, and when you say that too, you look at last season when you talk about Connor Ingram. There were points in the season last year where he was the number 1 goalie.
I agree.
And one thing that Bill Armstrong, in building this team, and now Coach Tournier, you went with a hot hand, and there were times when Connor Ingram was the hotter goalie. So I find that what you said interesting, because you're right. I think you might be able to go, oh, okay, we're not going to have a contract dispute. We're not quite ready yet. The new building's not quite up. We're not quite there to start putting all in on free agents. You want to play hardball with us? Well, this kid's been really, really good. And he's 26 years old. And for a goaltender, that's when you start, late 20s, when you start to see that push. And I think this is the guy that's not only going to help him on the ice, but I think he's going to help him in the locker room. He's a great character guy. I love his attitude. He's a funny guy to have in the room. Guys like him around. So I think this is a huge move, again, to say to players like Clayton Keller, hey, here's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're going to go into this with a tandem that we showed could win. And we saw that with Ingram last year. He got points in 10 of his last 13 starts. He's one of the reasons they're not in last picking first. Sorry, Connor Ingram. But it's the truth. Yep. So you see the solidify their goaltending. We know who 1 and 2 is going into camp. Prosvetov, he's really got to start pushing his game now. And you talked about him in the minors. He has to push his game now. Yep. This is his year. Like we said that last year about him
too. So
yeah, he isn't signed yet.
No, but I think they're wanting to sign him, and I don't know that he has a lot of leverage in negotiations right now. But yeah, you're coming to that age now where you really need to show something. You need to take a step forward. And mostly, I think what they're looking for from him is consistency, right? Yeah. He comes up and has a few games, but then he falls off. You can't do that in the NHL if you want to be a number 1 goalie. And granted, you often step into the backup role first, and then you learn to become a number 1 goalie. But there are a lot of steps that he still needs to take.
Yeah, you know what I'm really bad at?
What's that?
Well, with Leah being gone, is we don't keep up with the chat very good. One, because you can't see that far.
Yeah.
You literally can't see that far, can you? I know. So, DP, if I'm missing anything that's really good and important, make sure you shout at me, because I'm not doing a very good job of keeping people up. And I know there's a lot of people. There's Christina's in the chat, CWP's in the chat, and Brady, a lot of our regulars, and I'm just not paying attention. So I apologize ahead of time. But Kenny does bring up a good point. And the one caveat, I've used the word caveat twice in the same show, by the way. It's because I'm sitting with a writer. Is he talks about the influence of Bear in the playoffs, and on paper they weren't a play. Last year, this team on paper was the worst team I think I've ever seen in the Coyotes organization, and I'm not making that shit up either. I think they were bad, and they overachieved. And there were moments where this team was good, and they beat really good teams. And I know some was mullet magic, but it was because of the coach.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I still think, and you know this, like. The leap that the Coyotes took from where we thought they were going to be to where they finished, I think the next leap to get up to playoff, to add those points, is much harder. It's a much bigger step to become a playoff team. I just don't think they're ready yet. Andre Tourigny has proven himself to be a terrific coach.
One more hockey piece we're going to talk about in the Central Division. You look at, we're assuming in the next 48 hours, Connor Bedard is going to become a Chicago Blackhawk. We're just assuming. They may not.
Yeah.
They may go off the board.
That's not happening.
They're probably not going off the board.
No.
So Connor Bedard is going to become a Chicago Blackhawk, and we saw earlier today that Taylor Hall is also going to become a Chicago Blackhawk. Can you believe we just said that out loud? Like Taylor Hall is going to be Chicago Blackhawk, and there's a very good chance I could see the two of them playing together.
Yeah.
Does this propel the Chicago Blackhawks ahead of the Arizona Coyotes in the standings?
I thought they were last year anyway. And listen, I know they unloaded everything at some point. Their goaltending was awful, and that's probably the biggest reason they finished where they did, and then, of course, won the lottery. But yeah, I think they might be a little too good next year. Maybe they don't care because they got the player they wanted. As long as they're still in the lottery and get another draft pick, so they'll be okay. But yeah, they're definitely going to take a step forward, right, with those guys. I mean, how many goals is Taylor Hall going to score playing alongside Connor Bedard?
Yeah, and he'll get an increased role and increased ice time over what he did in Boston. And the reality is he was a secondary player there in Boston, and he's going to be a primary player expected to do a lot of heavy lifting for Connor Bedard. Because we can talk about Connor Bedard all we want, and he's a generational player, and all of these things are true, but he's still a kid. Yeah. And this is still the National Hockey League. And to think that he's going to come out there by himself and carry the load.
Connor McDavid, right?
You need people around you.
Yes, you do. You need a lot of depth in the NHL these days. One more point on the Coyotes and this roster building before we move on. I know a lot of people are like starting to construct lines and defense pairs. Slow your roll because I don't think we're done with the moves yet. I think they'll probably add something in free agency. There may be another move that we see on the draft floor. The draft floor is unbelievably volatile. There's always something going on.
Do you think this year's? I just feel this year's more so than most. I don't know why I feel that. I just over the last 48 hours, even the last 3 days, that seems to get a lot of activity. I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm not just talking Coyotes. I'm talking the NHL in general. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of movement by Wednesday and a lot of things going on. But you said that, Craig. What about the timeline for the RFAs in this organization?
Yeah, obviously they got Connor Ingram re-signed, but I've tried to stay abreast. I don't know that any of the others are on the front burner right now. I mean, the draft's just around the corner right now, and free agency comes at the end of the week. So I would imagine at this point, if we haven't heard anything, on some of those RFAs, we're probably not going to get something right before the draft. It's probably all about the draft, and then turn their attention to that. We'll see how it goes.
Well, we're speaking of the draft, and we know that there's a lot of PHNX diehards going to be here tomorrow for the boat cruise, right? Is that tomorrow?
Yeah, the pontoon cruise is tomorrow.
See, I got to go to DP for
Thursday. The wine tour. Thursday's the wine tour.
Thursday's the wine. That wine tour is going to be money because DP and I will be. That Wednesday, can we tour? You and I can tour the winery on Wednesday.
We can do whatever we want,
buddy. DP and I on Wednesday, we've got 4.5 hours to talk live about the draft. But for the diehards, they get to do the pontoon, and they get a discount for that. The T-shirts, we just saw the T-shirts downstairs. They're here, so we'll make sure we get those out tomorrow. And those are all for our diehards. The other thing we do for our diehards, we have a lot of talk in the Discord. Sorry, we haven't been there much today because, as we aforementioned, that's another big word I just used. I know I'm trying to impress you with my vocabulary, but we spend time in the Discord where all of our diehards get a chat and talk hockey. Unfortunately, we haven't been there a bunch today. We'll try to get there as this evening rolls on. Make sure you jump in the PHNX locker, become a diehard, get your membership. You get a free T-shirt, hat. When you sign up, you get a free T-shirt and hat every year on your anniversary. You get 20% off all of our events. You get discounts on our merchandise and access to the Discord. And you also get $50 in Mountain Mike's Pizza. So become a diehard today, and most importantly, you get Craig S. Morgan's diehard articles exclusive to the diehards, right? How often do you do that? Once a week?
Once a week.
Oh, buddy. And while you're there, the other thing we're missing today, and I know I talked to Sean about this too, is Burrito Express. We've been looking for no Burrito Express. No. And I know Sean's a huge burrito.
Oh, the breakfast burrito's money.
Can't confirm. But Leah put me on the lunch burrito side.
Seriously?
I'm a steak and salsa guy now.
Because we are all about
steak and salsa.
All right.
Yeah, there are favorite burritos in the Valley, and I will tell you this: I am still partial to the breakfast burritos. There are multiple locations. Emphasize going to Tempe. We got to go to Tempe. Where's you? That's where you go, isn't it, DP? You go to the Tempe location.
Yes, but I believe Shane yesterday was at one of the ones in Scottsdale.
No.
So they're all over. Yeah, but the Tempe's my go-to one.
So crush the Tempe one, and I know
the Tempe one right by like Gus's Pizza. That's the one.
It's
in that
rural and University around there
that's
near like the FedEx and
in there
and all that. Yeah,
they're a big supporter of ASU and ASU athletics. So make sure you stop by and check out Burrito Express. Fantastic food. Grab a burrito and follow them. Please follow them on Twitter at Burrito EXP. Well, Craig, part of the reason we're here in Nashville, not only the draft.
And Leah is not.
And Leah's not. This is the big reason why Leah is not here is there's an award show tonight.
Yeah.
By the way, when you do things in Nashville, they're just different. They're different. Like, they close the street. They're doing country music concerts live downtown on the street. Like real musicians. Like for free.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll be able to get down there because of traffic and whatnot. But Leah's on her way to the red carpet for the award show. It's one of the events we're here to cover. Thoughts, award show.
I mean, not a lot of these awards to me are a mystery. We've talked about this before, how many of them are foregone conclusions. I do wonder about Masterton. Clayton Keller's got a hell of a case, but I thought Andrew Ladd had a hell of a case last year, and he wasn't even a finalist. At least Clayton's a finalist. Too often these things go to popular markets or popular players, whether they have a great story or not. In this case, like when I look at someone like Chris Letang, he has a spectacular story as well. Yeah. So if I had to put an odds-on favorite, I'm guessing Letang wins this thing. But hey, maybe Clayton Keller will pull a surprise, because what he did last season just still astounds me. Literally broke the biggest bone in his leg in half. I thought, no way this guy's going to be ready for the start of the season. And when he comes back, how long is it going to take him to get up to speed? Well, he was ready for game 1, and by like game 5, he was
but he didn't participate in training camp at all.
It's amazing.
Not one practice, not one scrimmage.
His dad was telling him, you got to play a preseason game. He's like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, because not only a year ago right now, he's barely walking.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to tie the all-time points record of any hockey player in the state of Arizona in the NHL.
Yep.
That's absolutely remarkable. By the way, if you want to check out we had a quick little walking and talking interview with him. Go to the PHNX_Coyotes Twitter to check that out today. He had his comments on the award tonight.
Kels was waiting for Petey to arrive.
It is true.
Petey arrived on the ground.
So we talk about your bad luck. Our good luck was phenomenal today. We picked up our credentials. We thought we'd have to be Ubering back and forth. How are we going to get a hold of Keller? We got our credentials, walked out of the hotel. He was literally, no joke, standing right there walking into his hotel. Couldn't have timed it better.
Yep.
We'd walked and talked, and we were done, and he was back doing whatever he's doing, probably taking a nap or getting his outfit ready. Kind of looking. He said, "Did you hear?" Well, you didn't hear him. Got to watch it. He has 2 suits. He's not sure what he's wearing tonight. So he's got to decide on his drip.
Do we know about the 2 suits?
We don't. We trust him to have good drip, and he'll be fine on the red carpet. He is not wearing the matching Bill Armstrong suit. I asked, and
do we know what color those are yet?
Didn't we hear that they were? But didn't we hear they were burgundy? I thought
we might have heard that they were burgundy or
color?
maroon.
I feel like that was us just maybe reading into stuff and speculating. I don't know that we ever heard.
Well, we're going to find out in 48 hours.
We made that.
So we talk about Clayton Keller in the match, and I think that's a huge honor. And I do believe he should be, like, what he did was absolutely astounding.
Yeah.
We're just going to touch, I know it's the award show, and we're just going to touch on first Arizona. I don't know, is he an Arizona native? Dirks Bentley, country music superstar. Is the host tonight award, so make sure you tune in for the awards. But we're just going to briefly, and when I mean briefly, we're not going through and we're not going to give big explanations. I just wanted to know. We're just going to go some of the big awards.
Okay.
Hart Memorial Trophy, 3 candidates: Connor McDavid, David Pastrnak, Matthew Tkachuk.
Connor McDavid.
Not even close.
No, it's not even close.
Not even close. Done. Hand that over. I
know you love this one.
This one bothers me. I hate this award. I hate the James Norris Memorial Trophy. Love the award. I just hate how they award it.
Okay.
So the nominees,
based on points, you mean?
Adam Fox, Erik Karlsson, Cale Makar. Who's the winner?
Who would you have winning this season in particular? Would you have someone outside this group?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you would, actually. Who would you have winning?
I don't know. Go to the defenders on the Boston Bruins. I like Charlie McAvoy. He's putting up points and can defend. I look at Montour and the Florida Panthers can put up points. He can defend and gives you a little bit more than just Erik Karlsson at minus 67 or whatever the hell he finished at. You can't tell me you're making a run to the Stanley Cup and you want Erik Karlsson out there with a minute to go protecting the lead. You can't.
That's true.
So who is the best defenseman on the league? That should how they.
But it's about best defenseman this season, and I'm sure you would make the argument that he wasn't the best defenseman this season either. But he had a historic season from a point standpoint, and he's gonna win.
Okay, so then make this the Bobby Orr Award, the most
I
points by a
agree with you
defenseman.
there.
I've said it 1,000 times.
Me too. I've been banging that drum for a long time. What do you call it? Like the best defensive defenseman, call it, I don't know, the Rod Langway Award.
Sure.
Or the
Anybody.
Doug Harvey Award.
Great.
Or the Nicholas Yalmerson Award.
The Nicholas Yalmerson, I liked it.
Whatever
But then,
you want.
and that's how you ask the coaches. You're to win the Stanley Cup, Game 7, you're ahead by a goal, 1 minute to play, face off in your zone. What defenseman do you want on the ice?
Yeah.
That's the award winner. And I guarantee it. It's not Erik Karlsson.
Probably not any of those three
It's
guys.
probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe Makar.
Maybe.
Well, of those three. And I guess, and I know Erik Karlsson's watching as he's getting ready in his tux for tonight. So I apologize.
Yeah, you and he have a long-running feud, I know.
You amazing season offensively. You're a power play dynamo. You can get the puck up the ice. But it's a defenseman award. Okay, that one we get. The Vezina for the goaltender award, we got Connor Hellebuck, Ilya Sorokin, and Linus Ullmark.
I mean, for the regular season, I still think it's Linus Ullmark, but Sorokin was pretty terrific this season too.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
He was great. I think this award goes to Linus Ullmark. I think that basically what we're doing right now is you don't even need to tune on the award show because we're telling you all the award winners, and it's going to be Linus Ullmark.
Yep.
Was he the best goalie in the playoffs? No.
No.
That might be Aiden Hill.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Can
What
we
did he
believe
play? Like one series?
I don't know,
Yeah.
but he
cashed
wins.
in on it. Though.
So anyway, I think there's some good seasons there. Ted Lindsay, we're going to pass on that one. Rookie of the year. We got to talk about the rookie. Matty Beniers, Owen Power, Stuart Skinner, goaltender of Edmonton. Who wins the Calder Memorial Trophy for Rookie of the Year?
Matthias Michelli, who's not even a finalist.
Should be a
Better
finalist.
be top 5 when I see these final votes tallied. He better be top 5.
So when
Otherwise,
do we see the
again,
top
people
5?
It'll come out right after
Tonight?
Yeah.
Should
They release them
will
right
it
after
be in
the
your
awards.
story?
Story?
I don't
Am
know.
I writing tonight?
You better. It's
I
a thing.
mean, if Clayton Keller wins,
Okay, if he doesn't, will you write it?
Masterton.
Will you tell us? Will you
I'll
tweet
definitely
it?
tell you. Yeah,
Can you tweet it?
I'll absolutely tweet it out.
Okay.
But
Who wins?
Matty Beniers.
Matty
wins
Beniers.
this,
Yep.
Yeah.
Again,
And listen,
take it to the bank. Take it to BetMGM, Matty Beniers. Everything we've said is
I
going to
love
win.
both of those guys though. But Beniers taking on the role that he did with Seattle,
Yes, he wins.
middle ice is so important. But Buffalo's got a really
wins.
good defenseman for a very long time.
Jack Adams, Dave Haxtell, Jim Montgomery, Lindy Ruff. Quick.
Who do you like? You go.
It's Jim Montgomery.
Yeah, it has to
Set
be.
a record in Boston, all-time
Again,
record.
you got to ignore the playoffs and what happened there. What Boston did during the regular season was ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, clearly.
Because people thought they were going to be like a 7 or 8 seed in the East, and they ended up setting a record for points in the regular
We're
season.
not going to do the Lady Bing because I want to say HK.
HK, yeah. An award, as Greg Wyshynski will tell you, that the NHL officials should vote on.
100%.
No one else has any clue.
If they voted for this, I'd say K.
Yeah.
I would K.
Right.
But HK, who cares? Like,
Right.
because
We don't know.
we don't know. We're not
Oh,
out
he
there.
had
The most
16 penalty
gentlemanly.
minutes, so I guess he's gentlemanly.
Or maybe
he
he
could
doesn't.
be like cussing up a storm.
Or
you know,
maybe he
behind
doesn't
the
get into the
scenes.
corners and fight in battle. That's why
There's
he's got
that
no
too.
penalties. He doesn't
Right.
get like he's not a no effort guy. So you can't
Right.
go by who has the fewest penalties. Dumb.
I know.
Dumb.
The whole
Referee award.
Yep.
I'll watch it.
Completely agree.
Defensive forward. See, they do a defensive forward, but
Selke.
they don't do defensive. Just stupid again.
Agreed. Patrice Bergeron, though.
Yeah,
They
Patrice
just
Bergeron.
named the award after him.
Done.
Yep.
There's no even point. It's Mitch Marner and Nico Hischier. It is Bergeron, slam dunk. Again, put it, book it, bet it.
Yep.
Are we agreed? That's it?
Yep.
Okay. GM of the year, do we? Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. Jim Neal in Dallas, Don Sweeney in Boston, and Bill Zito in Florida.
Bill Zito did a hell of a job, didn't he?
Yeah, I think from where you were as a President's Trophy winner, and then they make a run. Unfortunately, they got on the playoffs the last day, and this is a regular season award, not a playoff award, so
Yeah.
it's going to go to Don Sweeney.
And also, it helps when you acquired a player that basically told his GM at the time, Brad Treliving, yeah, I want to go to Florida. I don't want to go anywhere
Well,
else. I
we've
wanna go
already
play for
talked.
Florida.
There
Well,
is a very
that's
good
pretty
chance.
easy.
There is a very good chance that I end up. I'm not sure about you because you're going to write. Apparently, there's a good chance I end up somewhere on Broadway, and I would guess the Orchid Lounge of Tootsie's. But if I were in Arizona right now, I know where I went for the draft last year with Sean DePaz, and I spent the whole entire evening at the Four Peaks 8th Street pub, which is a fantastic place to watch. So if you want to watch awards tonight, go on down to the Four Peaks 8th Street pub. It's phenomenal. You can always get my favorite kilt lifter, Wow, Peach, whatever you want on tap. What's your favorite?
Wow.
Yeah, all
Sometimes.
on tap
I like
at the 8th Street
some
pub.
stouts there. I like the Arabian stout.
Or stop by any of your wherever you get your beer and pick up your Four Peaks. The best way to enjoy a National Hockey League event like the award show and or the draft, which is coming up on Wednesday. So stop by Four Peaks. Check out Four Peaks or Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest Arizona hometown brewery. You must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks. Please drink responsibly. And we want a special shout out to Four Peaks because they are sponsoring they're our prime sponsor for all of the draft coverage we're going to provide for this week.
Gotta love that.
Isn't that great?
Best brewery in the valley.
Oh, Craig, before we wrap it up, what can people look forward to over the next 3 and 4 days coming from Nashville?
Tomorrow, in terms of my writing, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are going to create a whole lot of content that I'm probably not.
I'm not going to write anything,
but I do have a story coming tomorrow. Just looking at 5 guys, like, this is the lead of my story. I don't want to give away too much, but it's amazing how much difference of opinion there is on what the Coyotes are going to do. And these are, like I don't talk to some random guy on the street and say, oh, okay, I believe what you're telling me the Coyotes are going to do. Like, these are well-connected sources all telling me different names. And that just shows how uncertain everything is right now, between misdirection, between uncertainty about the fine line between those guys. I'm going to highlight 5 guys that the Coyotes could take at number 6 if they don't trade out of that position, trade down to pick up another asset, which I think is also a possibility. So that's coming. And then we get to the draft, Petey, where it's just about draft coverage and all the chaos that occurs on the draft floor, including potential trades.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting draft, one, because of their position, and I think so many things can happen from 2 to 6 that could change the outlook of who they drafted 6 or if they drafted 6. So I think on Wednesday specifically, we already talked about Sean and I will be live. You can use it as a second screen experience on the PHNX YouTube channel. We'll be live from before the first pick till the end of the 32nd pick.
Love and Exile.
From Love and Exile, Carter Hutton's bar, a wine bar here in Nashville. So, oh boy, howdy, wait till the 30 seconds pick.
Organized all this. Thank you,
phenomenal.
Tyler.
Can't wait. We're going to go check that out and get a tour of that tomorrow and Wednesday, so that'll be great. I know Thursday we're going to do a live show again from Love and Exile to wrap up rounds 2 through 7, and we're all going to be there. We're hoping to get some Coyote guests either calling in or present at Love and Exile for that show. Tomorrow we are going to be doing our boat cruise with our diehards and the people that came along to the draft. But we have a live show tomorrow.
A little more,
A live show tomorrow, 1 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock in our regular time. Tomorrow, coming from the Airbnb here in Nashville. I want to thank everybody for following along today and being patient with our changing times. It's going to be an interesting week for Coyotes hockey today as they start to get through the rebuild. Please follow us all on social media. It's at Craig S. Morgan, at Leah Merrill, at Sean_DePaz, at S. Peters Hockey. Jump on our Twitter today and check out the new Walkin' and Talkin'. All of our content will be on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Hit that bell, hit that like button, please. And we will see everybody live tomorrow, and expect content tonight from the red carpet. Keep your eye on Clayton Keller, and we'll see everybody tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the PHNX YouTube channel. Boy, howdy.